Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. Going to take a look at the Cats today, my club, and there's actually a bit going on for Geelong. I feel like there's quite a few options. Sometimes the Cats haven't been super interesting, pretty old, not much coming through, just, up there, top four, losing finals all the time. But I was going through and there's a bit going on. Like the headline suggests, there is a player in here that I think is a massive boost in his average, but I can't see us selecting him because he is pure mid. And look, I couldn't really find a no chance, so I've gone one that's, I originally had him down as a lock, and then I switched him for no chance. It doesn't quite make sense, but I'll explain as we go. So let's start things off with our lock, and I think the risk is pretty interesting too, so stick around for that. But Mitch Duncan is a lock, I reckon. 99.2 he averaged, but he is available as a forward. Mitch is getting old now. The body has let him down a few times. That's probably the only concern. But other than that, it's just filled with positives. Round 14, he scored the 10 points, just had a couple of handballs before injury set in. So if you take that into consideration, I think he scored 10 points or something. His average boost to 109. So he was flying. He was dominating. He's the best kick in the Cats side. They love to use him. He gets plenty of time in the positions that we like, and he's very versatile. So, yes, he's getting old, and yes, he is someone that maybe could suffer some injuries potentially as he gets older, but I think it's worth rolling those dice. The forward line is looking pretty interesting, I feel. You've got Taranto, Butters, there is others, of course, Duncan, Cornelio. I was looking the other day, and Dusty will be, interesting. And, there's quite a few. I just remember thinking, gee, the forward line's going to be potentially somewhere we throw a bit of cash. But I think Duncan, at that price, perhaps offers a smidgen of value as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But the breakout contenders, I'll just quickly drop in Cooper Stevens. I think as a youngster, he's going to get lots of chances for the Cats this year. Traditionally, Geelong don't give youngsters much of an opportunity, but I tell you what, I'm crying out for it. It's about time. We need to play some youth, so surely we do. And he's one of the more exciting ones. A pretty high pick a couple of years ago. Hasn't been able to get his body right, but big-bodied mid, sort of guy that we need. So I'd like to see him get a chance. Now, Quinton Narkle, I want to spend a little bit of time on this, and it seems a bit irrelevant because we're not going to pick him, are we? Surely. He's a midfielder, average 60. That's awkward. That's dancing with your sister awkward. But I'm going to tell you, I reckon his average could go up by more than 30. I could see him averaging in the 90s. That might be a little bit optimistic. It all depends on the opportunity he gets in terms of his role. He's a midfielder. He's an inside midfielder. Great around the clearance. Really dynamic player. He just hasn't got a chance. Selwood's been around, Dangerfield. These guys are still around, but I think it's time that Geelong change their mindset in terms of how they prioritise their lineups. And I think they've got to put guys like Narkle into the centre bounce a lot more often. If he does get that chance, that's where I think he could average some really nice numbers. In all honesty, probably somewhere in the 80s is more likely. But I think all going well, an average with a 9 in front of it, very possible. And I'll tell you why. Look, if you need some convincing about what he can do, go to his highlights on YouTube, and there's a game against Gold Coast. He scored 115. I think Paddy might have been out, and he got his chance. Now, okay, it's against the Suns down in Geelong. Fantastic. Maybe an easy kill. But he looked fantastic. That average is 60, includes some games like this. I'll run through them. Time on ground, he just didn't get it. Whether that was, because he came on at certain stages without getting a chance, or just didn't get great rotation. And when he did come on, he wasn't always in the midfield for the whole year. So round 8, scored 33%. 33% time on ground. Round 19, 34% time on ground, 39. Round 21, 52% time on ground, scores 44. And round 22, a big donut, really impacts his average, of course. And rounds 4, 7, and 14, also time on ground percentages in the 50s. This bloke's not getting a chance. I think he deserves it. He's one of my favourite Cats. I'd really like to see him get a good go. And if he does, like I said, I think he could be an absolute smoky for your draft. You'd be pretty ballsy to go with him in Classic, but I just think he could be late in the draft. All your mates are wondering, who the hell am I going to pick for my last couple of spots in the midfield? You just go bang, you get a really good contributor in Quinton Narkle. Now, the risk is a guy that I've had in the lock category many, many times, and that's Paddy Dangerfield. Now, why is he a risk? well, is Paddy past his absolute best? I think we can safely say he is past his absolute peak, but can he still produce numbers 110 plus, which is what we need for the premium status? Of course, he's a pure mid, so it makes it interesting, but a Paddy Dangerfield with a price point at 104.3 average, that's pretty good compared to what we've had to do for many, many years. Now, he's not going to go 120 plus like he once upon a time did, but he did have such a wretched run with injury. And again, I'll run you through some numbers and as to why I think he could be a little bit unders. And I'm just interested to see, is this a guy that's tailing off towards the end of his career, a bit battered up type of thing? Or is it a guy that if he can just get a good pre-season, he could go bang again? Because we're seeing lots of guys in their 30s with the way the sports science dudes and the fitness guys, they get these 30-year-olds playing great footy for a lot longer than they used to. So I'll be quite interested if he can get a good pre-season. Now, round 21, I think it was. Well, he returned in round 13. He started off the season a bit sluggish anyway. There were concerns and then got injured and returned in round 13 and looked sluggish as hell. Scored 66. And I feel like it was a continuous run across the year that just didn't quite get himself fully fit for a long time and was just probably struggling through the season. But I believe it was round 21 where he just scored 21 SuperCoach points and got injured pretty early. I can't remember what it was or who it was against, but he was off pretty early. Now, if we, a bit like Mitch Duncan, if we take that into consideration, remove that, say he's a full game, whatever, or just take it fully away, that 104 turns into 111. So for even what was a year that was really, really tough for him, he still finds a way to win that contested ball. He's not as explosive as he once was, but he's still a gun. He's still Geelong's best clearance player. And if Cameron's fit, if Hawkins is fit, if Rowan's fit, there's no bloody way he's playing forward. So I think it's really interesting. Geelong are still gunning for a flag. It's not like they're going to push him out because they're rebuilding or anything like that. I think he's a genuine consideration. Then there's the other side of the coin where you look at his finals, 86, 83, 115. His final in the 115 was actually a really great game in a tough day for the Cats. But, you just go, shit, is he tailing off a touch? Can he still go with it in the really big games? Because he still tore up some massive games. I think it was against the Bombers, busted out like a 170 or something like that. I'm working off memory. There was a 144 in there. He's still got the ceiling. There were just a few more games where he looked a bit banged up, a bit niggled. So I just wonder, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Paddy and whether you reckon we should go with him, or is it time to sort of accept the next generation, the Olivers, the Petrarcas, the Jack Steels, all those types of guys, rather than going back to, Dangerfields and Cripps and, that type of player. So I'll be really interesting. And look, in the no chance, I had Tom Stewart and my heart's not in it. I couldn't find anyone else. He could be a lock, so don't hold me accountable for that. But the only reason I put him in there is that he's really coming back from a massive injury. He's coming along pretty well by all reports at the moment, but he is probably at his top price point, I feel, 107. I think, say, for example, him versus Jake Lloyd, they're about the same price point, but historically, Stewart's been more around your early hundreds, and Lloyd has gone 110 plus a few times. They meet at about the same way. I'd prefer to go with Lloyd, put it that way. But look, you could bank on Stewart. He's going to get kick after kick, mark after mark, easy points all day long. The only reason I put him in no chance was because I had no one else. It's more of just just watch his pre-season, because he is coming back from a pretty significant injury. But by all reports, he's running well. He's going nicely. So my heart's not in this one. I really don't think he's a no-chancer, but you got to find someone. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Comment away if you'd like. I've been enjoying seeing some of your comments roll through. And look, we'll have to have a Q&A again soon. I'll talk to you before Christmas, but have a good one regardless. I'll try and post a couple before the weekend and get a few things rolling there. So I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.